those links. Go link up, baby. The new podcast is called Good Measure with Patrick Hicks. It's killing it right now. It's just absolutely enthralling. I'm super excited. So let's not waste any time and let's get right to our guest. Patrick, go ahead, mic up, cam up. Let's get into this. Everybody, please put your hands together. There, thank you. Put your hands together for today's guest, Patrick. Where's my phone?
Thank you.
Patrick Hicks! Hicks! Come on! Why isn't it working? Hold on. Okay, so just so everybody knows, Reina went through this and now it's not working. Reina went and rearranged everything, so now it's not working. There we go. There he is, everybody!
Hey.
There he is. Oh, snappy.
Fun. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course, Patrick. Oh, let me get this out there.
This
Patrick.
is the best intro I ever got in my life.
Oh, bro. I'm glad you
endorsement.
Well, oh, man. Thank you very much for those claps, Mighty. I appreciate you. Yeah, man. I'm very honest about it. Like, you really are hitting something great with this podcast, and of course your TikTok is great. You're killing it on TikTok. I just blew right through those episodes, man, and it literally is like your TikTok but expanded and in audio form and stuff. But
right. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel too much and do something totally different, but
yeah. Well,
I try to bring a little bit of different stuff to it to make it stand apart.
Yeah, definitely. Like you got the interviews, certain interviews,
Right.
and you play a little bit of the music and stuff. It's great, man. How did you, where did you start when you were sort of going from, this, 3 to 5 minute format to, these longer, because these episodes are anywhere from like 40 to an hour long.
Right.
And you usually cover three stories. How did
Right.
you, where did you start when you're like, okay, they want a podcast or I want to make a podcast? And it was the TikTok community that was asking for it, or did you want to do it at first? Which came first?
No, yeah, definitely. I did not plan on doing a podcast, but every time I would make a video, I would get people asking, when are you going to do a podcast? Is there more long-term stuff? Do you have a podcast? So, if people are asking for me to do something, it's, who am I to say no? So I'm like, all right, I better make a podcast then. Actually, I've done a podcast before. I used to do a podcast about movies with my wife, and it was just too much time. And we had our second kid, and we were like, all right, we can't keep doing this podcast. So we put it on hiatus, and then as they got a little bit older, we were looking for more creative stuff to do, and I started doing TikTok, and I just kept thinking, I don't have time to do a podcast, and but then people kept asking, so I was like, all right, well, I'll find the time, I guess. I'll do a podcast. And,
yeah, and
so
it's doing really well.
Seasons for my own sanity, so it's going to be like 10 episodes in a season, and then I'll take a break and come back and do another season. So
that makes sense. That's
the plan.
It's really difficult to be consistent with these things, man. I made the dumb choice of doing it weekly, and then I doubled up. So now it's 2 episodes a week, and I'll work like 12. Yeah, it's nuts. I'll work 12 hours and then come home and be like, oh, still gotta do this. And then if you got any sponsor reads or anything, that's an even more. It's a lot, man. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. And but I don't know, it's fun. It's been worthwhile so far. Yeah. It's kind of a question. I thought about early on, okay, if I did a podcast, what would it be? And I kind of thought of it'd be hard for me to tell one story for an hour. That's a lot to remember. So I don't think I could do that. But then, also I don't think that would be interesting. I don't know. It's that'd be a full band documentary, and my whole kind of shtick is I'm going to condense a band documentary into 5 minutes. Yeah. But there were a lot of stories that were too long. When I first started doing TikTok, I only had 3-minute videos available. So it was brutal editing these stories down to 3 minutes. It was so hard. Yeah. And then I got the extension. TikTok will let me do 10-minute videos now. But I wouldn't try 10. So I'd do 5. But I still would have to edit down because they were normally too long. So I kind of thought, all right, I could just do this, give a little bit more detail, tell a longer story, but do three, link them together through like a common theme. Because that was another thing too, as I was doing all these stories, I was like making these connections, like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like this band is kind of related to this band. Like these bands have a similar story, even though they're totally different bands. So
Yeah.
I was like, I think I can make enough where I link together these three totally different artists and put it into one episode. So yeah, it's worked out pretty good so far.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Like it really is just engaging and I gotta say, I was just like, this dude. I was like kind of jealous. I was like, because I've been doing this for 8 years. I was like, this dude just figured it out. He just get it. But it's more than that, right? It's more than that because you've been sort of building on this from TikTok
Right.
and so you had to sort of find your voice on TikTok and I mean like your cadence is great. Like I really could hear this show being on like NPR or something, you know what I mean? Like I really feel like you could take this and sell it to NPR or a radio show and make it into something that you could broadcast or man, it really is beautiful. Where did you sort of find this cadence and how you tell your story? And how you tell your stories?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I definitely love like This American Life, so that's possible. That's like an influence in there. And I just growing up listening to like behind the music and just watching band documentaries. That's kind of my influences. I get compared a lot to this guy Paul Harvey, who I sort of knew him, but like I'll be honest, I wasn't like that familiar with his work. But everybody compares him to Paul Harvey, and he did radio shows where he would kind of tell a story, and then he wouldn't reveal who the person was until the end. And he'd be like, and that was, Albert Einstein.
The rest of the story,
the rest of the story. I still have not listened to him because I kind of now I don't want to be influenced by him. But
that's actually, it's so funny because that's like my number, you can't see it, but that's like my number one question. It was like, dude, so how much Paul Harvey did you listen to when you were a kid? Like, no, because I used to roll around with my dad and he was a tire delivery guy. So I would go on his deliveries. And at a certain time, it was like 6 o'clock, Paul Harvey time. We'd listen to the story, and then right at the end, and that's the rest of the story. And it was great. But that's so interesting that that it's just something that sort of came to you. Was that that slow reveal? Was that always a part of the videos from the beginning, or was that something that you sort of stumbled onto as you were creating?
Yeah, no, that was not there at the beginning. I mean. Oftentimes I would kind of as a basic storytelling device, like you don't want to give them the person right away. You want to build up a little bit and then be like, and it was this. But the first video I really did it with, I was going to do a story about Nine Inch Nails because they're like one of my favorite bands. And the backstory of Trent Reznor is so different than like what you would think when you hear his music. Like if you hear the Downward Spiral, you're like, oh my God, this guy was raised in a haunted house. And and then, he was this clean cut Boy Scout in the band, got good grades, was a hard worker. And I was like, this would be a really interesting way to tell the story is if I don't say who it is from the beginning, if I build it up. Also, he doesn't go by, Trent is his middle name. He goes by Trent, but I think his first name is like Michael. And I was like, guys, this will be interesting. I'll just say his real first name, say the whole story, put in as many details that you would not associate with Trent Reznor as possible. Like his first concert was the Eagles, and that's what inspired him to make music. And then, he was this hardworking janitor, and everybody said he was like such a good kid. And then you'd be like, he was making this music, on his own in his spare time at his job because he was like the janitor at this recording studio, and they would let him come in and make his own demos at night, and then build up and be like, and this is the music he was making.
Yeah.
And then it plays Head Like a Hole and be like, this is the like Boy Scout is Trent Reznor. And then so that video like resonated with a lot of people. And I was like, that's kind of like fun to like give people that like, that needle drop moment of like, it was this person.
Yeah.
So I started doing a couple more like that. And then people just kept being like, oh, I love this. Like I play a game along with you to try to see how fast I can guess who it is. And so, yeah, it was not intended to be like my thing, but it just kind of evolved that way.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I love it when things sort of just come together naturally like that. I mean, that's so funny too to think of Trent Reznor as a Boy Scout, and his album's called Pretty Hate Machine.
Right.
But I spent some time in the suburbs growing up, and there is some kind of pain that's suffered out there.
Sure.
I don't know where you grew up. Did you grow up in Chicago? Did you grow up outside Chicago? How did you?
Yeah, I'm actually from Anaheim, California originally.
Oh, rock and roll.
Then moved out to Illinois for school in 2010 and been in Chicago since 2013, but yeah, not from here originally.
Oh, okay, sweet, man. Yeah, Orange County. Where traffic goes to die. That I can't stand driving through. It's like Orange County to like North LA. It's just a nightmare. It's bleh. But hey, whatever.
Part of the reason I wanted to leave.
Well, Chicago traffic is not much better, but it's a little better, I suppose. I mean, and you got better.
A little better, but you have trains and stuff.
Yes.
So
yeah, you got public transportation that doesn't suck, so it's
exactly.
it's nice. Well, I was kind of doing that game. It's funny you mentioned that game. I was like, who is this? And it was the Alicia Keys, because what was her name? Like Allie, or you were calling her something?
She does go by Allie. Was like
Allie.
Her childhood nickname.
Yeah.
She goes by Allie, and then her real last name is like a Jello cook.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was sort of doing. I was like, "Who is that? Alicia? Is that Alicia? Oh, it's Alicia!" No, it's beautiful.
I know. People usually tell me, like, if I know the artist, it's still fun. I still want to hear the story, and then if I don't know, it's like blows my mind. So it's kind of a win-win either way.
With the podcast, have you submitted it to like do like new podcasts? I know like Spotify, Apple Music has like the up and coming new podcast. Have you submitted for that yet?
So I'll be honest, I have no idea what I'm doing. My wife kind of handles all that kind of stuff. I think she did submit it for like a new and notable thing. And she also is like, she's like, I submitted you to the Chicago Reader, and I don't know. She handles like all the business kind of stuff. Wow. I don't know.
No,
I'm the artist of the family. But
that's great.
So I think, yeah,
that's great. No, it's kind of the same way with my wife. She's our creator too. So it's like, if she has time, like she was the one who took my podcast from YouTube and put it on to Apple Music, and then it went from there. But so yeah, thank God for good partners, right? Like,
no, she's the best. I couldn't do it without her. Yeah. It's so weird because the movie podcast we did together, and she has like a way better voice than me, and like I never in a million years dreamed like I would be the face of a creative project that we were doing. So it's just so weird that she's like totally behind the scenes now. Yeah. When like she has a better voice. Like she's done voiceover classes, and she like is more dynamic than me and more charming. But I'm the one that ended up being like the face of a TikTok channel. So weird the way the world works out.
It is, but obviously it's something that resonates, and and by the way, I love that idea of your guys' podcast, which was watch the sequel to movies and then try to guess what the first one was, and also your wife made podcasts just for her friends to listen to. It's very
yeah. When we first met, she was like, "I have a podcast." I was like, "Yes, let me listen to it," and she was like, "Well, I have never released a single episode, but I make my friends come over and listen to it, and it's hilarious." Yeah. And she did. She played it for me. I did an episode, an unreleased episode, so it was fun. But yeah, the Reverse Sequels was the name of our movie podcast, and it was just so much work because we were watching like 2-hour movies a week, and sometimes it was so hard because they were so bad. Like, God, it took us forever to get through. Like Dolphin Tale 2, and keep falling asleep. Like, yeah, this is horrible.
Come on, Teen Wolf 2, baby, let's go. Oh, yeah, man.
No, it was a lot of fun though.
Yeah, it's a lot
too much work.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I feel you. So, like, you have a background in music, right? Like, you were a music person, you musician.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I've always been just obsessed with music and watching music documentaries, reading music biographies, and I played guitar and played in bands for a long time, and then I was like sort of involved in the music business. I was a booking agent at like a big Hollywood nightclub, and I did some like local shows and stuff like that. But I really just like didn't have a lot of direction. When I graduated high school, I went to community college and I basically flunked out. And I was like, I want to go like tour with my band. I don't want to, be in school. And I was like maybe 24 or something, and I didn't know what to do. And I went to this school in Hollywood called Musicians Institute, which they have. Yeah, so they have like Guitar Institute and drum, but they had this music business program. And so I did this music business program thing. And one of my teachers there was a lawyer, and he was the first lawyer I had ever met. Like he's the first lawyer I ever met, period. But I didn't realize that. I thought every lawyer was like Tom Cruise and A Few Good Men. And I was like, that's not me. I'm not that kind of like, personality. And he was like, no, I've never stepped foot in a courtroom in my life. I just explain complicated documents to my clients that don't understand it. I was like, oh, I could do that. So I basically like turned my whole life 180. I went to law school. I like got a normal corporate job, and like I stopped playing music, stopped playing in bands, and but still was always a fan. But it was just like, I gotta like join the real world. But the whole time it was just like this itch in my brain, like this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not supposed to be like a corporate drone. I'm supposed to be doing something creative. So I was just always doing stuff like writing screenplays, and I did improv at Second City, and just always tried to be creative. And then none of it was really like that successful until this TikTok thing, which weirdly brought me back to the world of music. And this is like the most successful thing I've ever done. So it's been really cool.
Yeah, man. That's interesting. So you're a lawyer?
No, so I ended up not practicing, but just went to like a JD preferred kind of line of work.
What's that?
It's like JD preferred, so it's good that I have the JD, but I don't actually practice law.
Gotcha. Moving Dutchman, how dare you? Welcome in, my friend. Thank you so much for that sub. Welcome in. I hope you're doing well, my friend. I hope you're doing very well. Southern Illinois is better, Naders? You think so? Is Southern Illinois better? Or Illinois, not Illinois. Illinois. Yeah, I don't agree. Would you agree that Southern Illinois is better?
Better than Chicago?
Better than Northern Illinois.
Oh. I mean, I don't really love any part of Illinois.
I don't either. Oh, no.
I mean, there's some good parts, but yeah. I don't know. I don't have an opinion on Southern versus Northern Illinois.
We got rattlesnakes. Oh, stop. There's rattlesnakes in Illinois? Get out of here. Gross.
I never.
And armadillos? You're lying to me. You have to be trolling me right now, Naders. That is not true. That's like okay. Anyways,
I've never seen one.
Well, Chicago's awesome. I love Chicago. I actually moved back from San Diego a few years ago, so I miss Southern California, especially right now in the winter time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's fine.
Wait, where are you located now?
I'm in Toledo, Ohio.
Oh,
yeah. Toledo. I will come up to you and pollute state. Okay. All right. Yeah, we're not gonna start talking crap about my polluted state. If you ever heard, we had a train crash and there's stuff in there.
Oh, I heard about it.
It's pretty gross. So you were playing guitar. What kind of bands were you in? What kind of music were you playing?
I was just like in punk bands. I was never very good at guitar, so just punk bands. And then I kind of got in like early 2000s in Southern California, like dance punk was a big thing, like the Rapture and bands like that, Dance Disaster Movement. So I was in a band that was kind of like a dance punky kind of band.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly punk bands. Like I am not a good guitar player at all, but I had enthusiasm, which is
it goes a long
more
way.
important. Yeah,
it goes a long way, man. It really does. Man, I love the Rapture. And what was it? LCD Sound Chip?
LCD Sound System was like one of the biggest come out of that group.
Yeah, incredible. That whole scene that came out of Brooklyn, right? Like came out of Brooklyn.
They're from New York, but I mean, we had some homegrown California bands that were really good. Moving Units was a band that was really good, but none that quite blew up as big as those ones.
There was that book. I don't know if you ever read it. God, I can't remember. It's like in the bathroom. What is it?
Oh, Meet Me in the Bathroom.
Yeah, Meet Me in the Bathroom. That book was incredible. I'm with you, man. I love reading about just music biographies and different scenes and stuff. Like I loved Keith Richards' book, but I started getting bored after they got famous because it's just like I'm banging models, like, on the French
Oh yeah.
Riviera, and I'm high on drugs all the time. And it's like, okay, we get it. You're rich now. the the fight is lessened. But it's amazing how those bands like the Rolling Stones are just still going, just still doing
Yeah.
their thing, man.
That's great.
What was your what bands are you listening to right now that you're really really into? I know it's kind of a loaded question.
Yeah, there's a lot. The one that one of my favorite bands right now is a band from Chicago called Sincere Engineer. Um, they're like kind of a Midwest emo pop punk kind of band, but they're really cool. They're on Hopeless Records, and I'm actually hoping to maybe have them on my podcast, even though I don't normally do interviews, but I'm hoping to have them on an episode soon. But they're one of my favorites. I like a lot of bands. Blue Rev was like my favorite record of last year. I like that band a lot. I listen to a lot of hip hop. I've been listening to this rapper Jid a lot because he had a record in 2022 and I totally missed it. I did like my favorite records of 2022 list, and everybody was like, "Where's Jid?" And I was like, "Oh man, I missed that one. I'm old. I don't listen to I'm not a music critic or a reviewer, so
Yeah.
it's hard for me to catch everything that comes out." So I've been making up for lost time. I've been listening to his record a lot. But I listen to everything. There's this death metal band called Undeath that I've been listening to a lot. They're just like a super fun, like gory, gross, like over the top, violent death metal band. They're really fun.
Not what's their name? God, Gore, not Gore, Guar.
Yeah, not quite as over the top as Guar, but yeah, like kind of like a Cannibal Corpse, that kind of vibe.
Okay. All right.
Just fun. They're really fun.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, man.
I do love Guar. I did a story about Guar once, and like a bunch of people that knew Guar like commented and posted, and people that had like played with them, like I talked to, and we became like mutual friends on TikTok. So that was actually really cool.
Hell yeah! What's their story? What's their deal? I had a friend whose brother was playing bass with them for a little while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. And there was some sort of connection to Toledo, but I forgot. I know Rob Rock died a while ago, and then some lady came on and started doing it. But what?
They've had a lot of different lineups. Yeah.
Right.
So I actually did a video for them that was what do Guar and Sade have in common. So Guar was, they came from like a punk scene, and they were playing in punk bands and stuff, and they were this punk band was rehearsing. I think the punk band was called Death Piggy, and they were rehearsing at this like studio. It was kind of like this all-encompassing studio. Bands rehearsed there, and like students shot art films there. And there was this like group of guys that were filming like a low-budget horror movie. And this guy, Dave Brockie, who would become the lead singer of Guar and was in this band Death Piggy, he saw like the costumes that they were making for this crazy horror movie. And he was like, wouldn't it be cool if we dressed in these costumes and like made a band? And the idea was they were going to make this fake band. It was not called Guar in the beginning, but it eventually became called Guar. It was originally like Guar. It was like 100 characters long. And they would open for Death Piggy. So they would be like this joke heavy metal band from outer space, wearing these crazy costumes and had these like crazy, personas and alter egos. And they would open for Death Piggy. And then they became so popular that people were coming to see Guar and leaving, and they didn't care about the headlining band anymore. So eventually Guar kind of overtook them and became the band that went forward. And that's the exact same thing that happened with Sade. Sade was a backup singer for this other group, and every other people in the band were like, this one singer, Sade, is better than the real singer that we have. And so they started this side project with her that was also called Sade, and they started opening for this other band. And the same thing, everybody was like, oh, this band Sade is way better than this other band that they're opening for. And then, they went on to Fame and Fortune, and the other band fell apart. So I did a video linking those two together, which upset some people in both camps. But then some people were like, I also like Guaran Sade. I'm here for this video. So
yeah, well, same here. Sade and Guar are amazing bands, and I love how they'll just bring on like, you know, current presidents or whatever with their big oversized head and like just cut them off. I saw this video where
exchange shows were insane. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just fake blood and like ICP, like they used to. I just jumped right to ICP, but like just they would always make a mess with Fago and stuff. It's that whole like immersive experience where you're leaving with some kind of sticky substance on you. It's just it's always a good time. That's the thing. That's the thing about punk too. Like, because I've gone to some really gnarly punk shows, and it's just like beer thrown at everybody. It's wild. Hey, welcome in, Ellie Bot. 5000. Welcome in. Thank you for that follow. I appreciate you. That's a sweet name, Ellie Bot. I hope you're doing well. I heard your episode, and one of the stories was about Wilco and talking about Jeff Tweedy and stuff. And that documentary they did where they showed, that was such a great documentary. I remember that's what got me into Wilco. And then, of course, what is it Hotel Yankee Foxtrot?
Hotel Foxtrot.
Yankee Hotel. I always get those mixed up. That's what got me into that band. Have you heard that Wilco's gonna go and do an alternate version of that album?
Oh, are they really? No, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they're gonna do. And I don't know. How do you feel about bands that won't like go and redo albums? I know I don't have really any other examples except for Roger Waters, who's gonna be doing a remake of Dark Side of the Moon. But like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I actually don't love it. I actually hate on Spotify when I like try to go to listen to an album, and then I'm listening, and all of a sudden some song pops up, and I'm like, this song's not on the record, and then I look and, oh, this is some special anniversary edition where you threw on a bunch of bullshit I don't want to hear. I actually don't like that. I mean, like, it's cool to have the option, but I wish I could also just listen to the record by itself.
Right, but the original.
No, I move on. Don't be like George Lucas going back to fix Star Wars.
Thank you.
Star Wars.
Thank you. It's like, make more Star Wars, do your thing, whatever. But like, why are you going back and messing with a classic? Actually, I don't. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Where we go. Here it is right here. I know it's probably all tiny for you, but we'll go to release.
Record Store Day. Well, maybe they're just trying to get some money for Record Store Day, so I support it if they're just trying to get some money.
Right. Hey, Anachronistic Services, welcome in. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Cool. I'm probably not. So it's a Record Store Day thing where let's see, Wilco will release a new version of their 2002 record on vinyl for the annual event, dubbing it Cross-Eyed Strangers, an alternate Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. It will comprise live recordings of Radio Cure, Jesus, etc., heavy metal drummer Pot Kettle Black, Poor Places and Reservations, as well as different versions of War on War and I'm the Man Who Loves You. Okay, all right.
I mean, it's cool, but yeah, it's not my thing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna run out on Record Store Day and go get this. Although I would love to have Yankee Hotel Foxtrot on vinyl. Now that's sexy to me. Are you a vinyl guy? Do you like vinyl?
I have a lot of vinyl, but yeah, I'm not like a super big collector. I just buy records that I like. Yeah. I'm not too picky about quality or anything like that, but I do find records sexy. I'm with you on that. If I get like a nice 180 gram vinyl or a special pressing, it is sexy. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, that's where it's at, man. I hold on, let me go back here. So my wife, again, thank God for great partners, but she also like set up my whole streaming thing with it's all different. So now I got to figure out how to get back to the Yay, I did it. I can do things.
You did
it. I do. It's all about the artwork. Yeah, I agree. It is something about just holding something, right? Like you're holding this piece of art. The artwork, you got the liner notes. Sometimes you get lyrics and stuff. It's
Yeah.
that's something that got sort of sterile with new releases, is that you're just, it's on your phone or it's on your computer.
Right.
Or what do you like about the vinyl?
I mean, I don't really usually collect like too much new stuff. I like,
Mm.
get my favorite records from like the 60s and 70s, but so just having that, like, that connection to the past, to be like, I'm
Yeah.
holding this copy of like Led Zeppelin 2 that, somebody in the 70s would have like done coke off of, and like, I don't know, it's just like you're connected to music history through these records that are like literally, still around. So
Yeah.
I do buy new stuff every once in a while, but yeah, I love to get like a decent playable copy of like an old record.
Mm.
That's so.
Yeah, it's just it's fun, man, and plus there is something interesting about the sound as well, right? Like there's this
I mean, yeah, the crackle, the
mm,
the vibe is totally different.
custom.
I like getting a record like somebody's written on. Like I remember a long time I was like going through this big jazz phase, and I was trying to like buy a bunch of jazz records, and I got this old Jelly Roll Morton record,
Oh,
and
nice.
somebody wrote on it. They wrote, "What New Orleans did for all you ignorant assholes." Like, why you would write that on your own record, I have no idea. Like, did they write it right before they sold it? Like, I gotta let people know it's like New Orleans, but one of my prized records just for that message alone.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. It's like books that you pick up that's like, just has,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
dedication to it, just written in it. It's like, for Veronica, because I love you, or whatever it is.
I know. Yeah, that's
It's
the best.
it's something that I don't know. It connects you to other people in such a weird way. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
it's beautiful. Uh, so when you were doing improv, because I did improv for a little bit, I like
Oh
that.
yeah,
How deep did you get into it? I mean, Second City is world famous, and they got
yeah.
several setups. So how deep did you get into it?
So when I graduated law school, I moved to Chicago, and I was just like super depressed. Like I didn't like have a good time my last couple of years of law school, and like all my friends from law school were going to different places. Like nobody was really going to Chicago,
Hmm.
and I was just like looking for something to do. And I'd always loved comedy. Like I grew up watching like SNL and all these comedy shows. So I was like, what if I just took like beginner, the most basic class at Second City? Like I have no training. I'm never in a play. I never acted. I never did anything. So I just took like the most basic level, and it's just the first day was so fun. Like the first day, you literally just walked around in a circle, and you like patted everybody else in your class on the back and just said, "I'm glad you're here." And I was like, "This is like the anti-law school. This is like so the opposite of like that like cutthroat experience where everybody's trying to like cut you down so they can get ahead." And here it was like literally our exercise was saying like, "I'm glad you're here," and like I got your back. Like all the values that were in that first improv class, I was like, oh my god, this is like what I need in my life. It was basically like therapy. There was also had comedy involved, and I met a guy in that first day there that's like still one of my really good friends today. So it was a cool experience. So then I went through this whole program, and again, it's like this is just beginner level stuff. The people that really like go on to do, you know, perform in Second City or like go do SNL, they are part of this program called the Conservatory that you actually have to audition for. And so the beginning classes, like just as long as you pay your money, you get to go. And so I did all the beginning classes, and I thought, you know what, I have fun doing this. Let me just audition for the Conservatory. Let me see if I can make it. So I auditioned and I got into the Conservatory, and then you do like 3 levels there. Then you have to audition again. So you have to audition to keep going. If like after 3 levels, if they're like, nah, you're not cutting it, you're out. And you can keep auditioning a couple times, but you have to re-audition. So I had to audition again. I made that, and I went through the whole conservatory program. So like learned a ton, like got pretty decent, I think, at like sketch writing and improv performing. And then I got to the last level, and like you're working. Like my teacher was this guy Norm Hawley, who's like this Second City legend. Like he taught anybody, Tina Fey, like anybody who came through Second City, and I got to the last level, and I was like, oh, I'm not as good as these like other people. Like there were people in that class that like should have been stars, and I was like, yeah, I'm not quite at this level. And it's kind of funny. I met my wife when I was at the end of the conservatory program, and I met her through a guy I did the conservatory program with, and he originally like she didn't want to go out with me because she's like, oh, he does improv. He's like an improv guy. He thought like I don't know if you ever watched the show Broad City, but there's like a Broad
Yes.
City episode where the girl sleeps with this improv guy, but she can only think the whole time about how bad his improv was. So she's like, oh, he's gonna be like that. So I actually invited my wife. Like we'd only been dating a couple weeks, and I invited her to come to my like final conservatory show. And she was like, oh my god, this is gonna be like so embarrassing. I'm gonna have to break up with this guy because it's so bad. But she was like, actually, it was pretty good.
So
I'll still date you.
You guys didn't bomb. It went over well.
It was good. It went over well, but it was kind of like, all right, I did this. It was like a challenge, to myself to do this program. I kind of realized like, all right, I'm not going to be on SNL, but it was fun. It was a fun program. I like learned a lot, made a lot of great friends. So it kind of served its purpose in my life. So I recommend it. And whenever anybody asks those questions, like, what's one thing you think everybody in the world should do? I really think everybody should take an improv class. Like the stuff you learn that helps in like your business, your interpersonal relationships, like it's just super valuable stuff. So
I agree with that, man. I think that improv really helped me with this podcast, just being able to just responding and just being able, because like I'll talk to a lot of comedians on this show too, because I love comedy. And
yeah, me too.
so I'll have comedians on, and it's nice to be able to respond to something if they go into like a little bit or something. But even like I was so terrified that first performance. How was your first performance? Were you terrified? I was just shitting my pants, man. Like it was not, I was not ready for it. How was yours?
So it wasn't bad. It's like so weird. Like I'm very much an introvert, but I love attention. So it's kind of the reason TikTok is perfect for me. I'm in my house by myself, talking into my phone, nobody's around, but then I show it to the world and I get, feedback. So it's perfect for my weird personality. So I wasn't like worried about going on stage. The first performance was probably not good, but also I'd been in bands and stuff, and so it wasn't totally crazy. But the first performance ever, that guy who was my really good friend, his name's Jason. We got matched in a scene together, and like it was early on, so we were learning like basic stuff, and we were learning stuff like always give your partner a name, otherwise you're doing this whole scene and you're like, who the hell are you? And also like a name can be a gift. If you come out and you're like, hey, how's it going, Rufus? And you're all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm Rufus. All right, who's Rufus? Like helps. And the other lesson we're learning is like today is the day. So like too many beginning improv people, they make the scene about like, oh man, I can't wait till tomorrow when we go to the fair. So we're trying to learn like, no, you're at the fair. Nobody cares about you talking about what you're doing. Be at the fair. So move it up. So we're like learning these lessons. So we go out on stage. I'm matched with my friend Jason. And the first thing he says is, well, Patrick, today's the day. I was like, all right, so you gave me a name, but it's my own real name. And your setup for the scene is literally the phrase, today's the day.
And then you said, yes, and
I did. I was like, that's right. Today's the day. They were whatever. I don't remember what the scene was, but it was actually helpful. Like it was so bad. It was like literally the worst possible setup you could have. I was like, well, it's all uphill from here.
Oh yeah.
It was a good time.
No, yeah, man. That whole the first, I mean, because there was like a couple scenes where I was just eating shit because I was just so nervous. And I've been performing my whole life, like my whole life. I started out as a tap dancer and then musician. I've been on stage, like I've gotten so comfortable on stage, like I have to like remind myself I'm on stage, like to the point where like I'll be like, oh Jesus, like I'll smell myself in a room full of people and grimace at my own smell. And but yet as soon as I lost the instruments or whatever, it was you're right there, and that's why I could never do stand-up comedy. I was just scares the shit out of me. And it seems lonely. It seems lonely to be.
I tried stand-up a couple times, and very lonely. And also I had like a horrible experience. I went and did it, and like I did like an open mic, and you sign your name on this sign-in sheet, and I went the whole night, and they never called my name. And then they got to the end, and they were like, and our last comedian is some other guy who's not Patrick. And I had to go up and be like, hey, I wrote my name on the list. I've been sitting here through like a 2-hour open mic waiting to go on. And she was like, oh, oops, okay, and one more Patrick. And so I performed for like 3 people, and it was horrible. And I came back one more week the next week to try again, and yeah, not for me, not for me to stand up. But I love stand up comedy.
Yeah,
but I think too just takes a long time to get good at it, and I didn't have the patience for that.
Yeah, dedicating a lot of time, going out all the time. Like, I mean, listening to like comedians' podcasts, it just seems like your whole life has to be that. And if you have kids or a wife, I mean, God help you. Like, but it's nothing that. I tried stand-up comedy at my dad's funeral, which was like,
What?
yeah, it was like cracking jokes, trying to like make, because I don't know, man. I mean,
Sure, you got to do that.
yeah. What was funny is that my asshole uncle, who's like this really pious prick, who he's actually a minister, or I don't even know what he is. He's in some weird church where it's called Western Roman Catholicism or something. I don't know. It's weird. They think that the where the priest stands is actually heaven, so you can't even go anywhere near it. It's weird. They don't dance at weddings. They don't drink, which whatever. It's weird. Okay, it's a bunch of weird stuff. But he's very conservative, and he was laughing at all the jokes.
Oh,
as my mom's sobbing in the front. And my mom is like, basically crying through my set. And I'm just like, God, Mom, come here, break. But
you gotta have some levity at a funeral.
I think so. And I think that was the idea. But that was like my only time I ever did something, and that was stupid. It was it was silly. It was very silly. So you've written. You write. You like write like sketches, you said, and
right,
yeah.
I've always wanted to be a writer. I mean, I wrote MP3 blogs back in the day when an MP3 blog was cool. So I did blogs. I've written for like local newspapers and zines and stuff like that. My parents were both writers, so I always wanted to be some kind of writer. I worked on screenplays, and I'm actually trying to like leverage this TikTok thing into a book. I got a book agent, and trying to sell a book to a publisher. It's like a way longer process than I realized. It takes like forever, but still in the works. So hopefully I do a book of music stories.
Wow.
And that's my dream. Even though like everything I've read about the book industry is, not great. Not a lot of people read anymore, but I don't know. It's a dream. So
well, it would be awesome. I mean, like audiobooks are very popular, right? So that's
I know, definitely I would want to read it myself too.
Yeah, well, you have the voice for it, you have the cadence for it. So I think that'd be awesome, man. That would be really amazing. I hope the best for you in that regard. So would it be sort of formatted how it is now, or do you have an idea of how you do it? Do you have like do you have it written already? Like, where are you at with it?
That's the whole thing.
Go ahead.
So yeah, to get the agent, we had to like put together a proposal and the idea of the book. It's actually my wife's idea. So like when I said like my wife handles the business stuff, like she put together this query letter and found the agents to like submit it to and sent it out. She like handled all that for me, and which like was great. I wanted to help, but then like the day we were like, okay, we're gonna send out all the query letters, I had like a super busy day at my real job, and she was like, all right, fine, I'll do it. And she sent out like 40 letters.
Wow.
And but yeah, so we had the whole concept, like you have to write all this stuff, like who the target audience would be, and all this stuff, and then we had to do sample chapters. And then I had like one sample chapter that I submitted with, and then the agent who I ended up signing with said, do a couple more before we send this out to publishers. So I've written like 5 chapters of the book, but then I'm like, I'm not writing anymore until they like tell me that they're actually going to publish the book, and hopefully pay me like in advance or something, because it's very time consuming. But it's not necessarily like, it's not like a reveal or anything, but all the stories are kind of structured around a theme, and And like, it's frustrating too, because there's so many good stories. I want to like tell them, but I, have an agreement. I can't cannibalize them for TikTok. So
Yeah.
I have like 15 amazing stories that I'm saving for this book that I can't wait to get out there. But if for some reason I can't sell it, then I'll probably finish it and publish it myself. But
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, dude, that is so cool. That is so rad. And obviously having a pretty big following on TikTok is helping with that. Is that something that you put in when you were looking for agents and stuff? Is that like, hey, I got this active TikTok community and
right. I waited till I had 100,000 followers, and then I sent it out, and I was like, because I had heard that that's like, I don't know, some kind of magic number for publishers, that like 100,000 followers on social media is a good sign. And so I waited till I had 100, and then it's taking so long. I have to keep updating my agent, like, hey, I just passed 200,000, and now I'm at 300,000 followers. So we've had to update the proposal a couple times, but
that's
it's just
right.
like, apparently it takes months for people to like even read it. So we have all these people that we haven't even heard yes or no from. So
wow, that seems a little daunting, but I mean, what else are you doing, right? You're making podcasts. You got other things going on.
other stuff going on, yeah. So see what these things will pay off.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. So when you're doing these videos, do you write a script for everything?
No, so that's the thing. Like when I first started doing it, it was supposed to just be like I don't know, a fun project that didn't take up a lot of time. So when I first started doing it, it was just stories that I already knew. So I didn't do any research. I just sat down and like told the story into the phone. If you watch like the first 2 videos, which don't like, they're not very good, but there's no images, there's no music. It's just like me talking. And then maybe in the third video, somebody tried to like fact check me on something, which happens like in every video. Like people want to correct me, but they don't themselves look it up. They just, if they think that they're right, they'll just go in on. So I was like, oh, this is so annoying. Like, I don't want to be wrong. Like, I'm just supposed to be telling stories, not necessarily like music history. That was the original plan. But this guy, tried to fact check me. So I was like, oh man, let me look this up. So I had to like go get the book off my shelf and be like, boom, here it is, like page 357 of this Bob Dylan biography. Here it is. And so I was like, all right, now that the videos are getting more and more views, people are going to start coming for me. So I got to like, now I have to actually do research. So maybe like the 5th or 6th video, I actually started doing research and like taking notes. But yeah, I never wrote a script because I feel like that would make it not natural. And I just wanted to keep it going. Like I like the way I told the first story. It was just the production value was not there. So I was like, I want this to be the style that is just me talking to the camera, telling you, like it was your friend who just finished a book and they want to tell you about it. Or like they just watched this cool documentary and they want to tell you the story. Like, hey, do you know the story of this? And so that's the vibe. And I just feel like if I wrote a script, it would kill that vibe. So I'm kind of scared to like ever change my format, which makes it harder. I have to do like a lot of editing and I have to make it up as I go. But I don't know. It's weird. It's like I did this video about Jay-Z one time and I was like, and Jay-Z, I said something like, and then Jay-Z wrote the lyrics for this song. And all these people in the comments were like, Jay-Z doesn't write. Jay-Z doesn't write. Right. I was like, what are you people talking about? I was like, oh, he doesn't write the lyrics down on a piece of paper.
Right.
But he writes the lyrics. He just writes them in his head. Like he composes the lyrics of the song. And it just depends on how you use the word write. So like I think in my head of what I'm going to say, and then like I say it. So, but I don't like script.
Yeah, that was what was hard, figuring out how to do it without a script for me, because like I do better when I can read something, and then it's like because I just do like music news, so like whatever,
Right.
And sometimes I'll read a little bit off the article or whatever it is, but it's tough when it comes to when you're just talking, when you're just going off the cuff. Like you have the information in your head and now you got to convey it in this, way that's, entertaining, but also, getting this information across. So it is rough, man. It was really tough to figure out that flow, but I mean, once you get it, that's cool. So are you editing on a like editing software, or do you do it all within the app? How do you edit?
I don't like using the TikTok app. Like I don't even know how to use it to edit. So I have a third party app called Splice.
Yeah.
Like that I use, and I just make sure that everything is like, it's sustainable. Like I do it all in my phone so that I can do it whenever. Like I usually edit when I'm putting my kids to bed at the end of the night. So I make sure I can do everything on my phone, do it, quick and easy. And I mean, that's kind of the thing I like about TikTok too, is that nobody's expecting like the highest production values. So if you have some janky editing, nobody cares that much as long as the content is good. So I think that's why I found my niche on here.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because it's something that you can just sort of do. It's nothing that you have to like go to a place to do it, or like you got to upload it from the computer back to this and that. It's something you sort of can do anywhere while doing, yeah.
Right.
It's cool. And that there has been a couple times where I edited a video because for whatever reason, man, TikTok, I mean, those TikTok rules are so great. Have you been like flagged for anything yet?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've been flagged for some weird ones. Like early on, I did this video about this Japanese rock band from the 70s called the Flower Traveling Band. And I just happened to mention in the video that like their first two album covers feature the whole band naked, but it doesn't show anything.
Right.
And like the clip, even like the still that I used of the album cover was blurry, but it's like, they're like, you don't see their junk. It's just like them naked, but like, their legs are closed or whatever. Yeah, but that one got flagged and like removed for nudity, and I was like, well, I mean, I guess technically, but like you don't see anything. And then I've had some where it gets like a community guidelines like thing on it where it says this is sensitive material. I did one on the band Tool, and TikTok doesn't give you a good explanation of what it is. And the guitar player for Tool, Adam, got his start as like this visual effects artist, and he worked on like Freddy Krueger movies and all sorts of stuff. He worked on like Jurassic Park. Wow. And stuff. So in the video I have like footage of him, but it's like him making a Freddy Krueger mask. It's not like anything actually gory, but that one has like a sensitive content warning on it, which I think killed the views on it. But yeah, I've had a couple. I did one where I couldn't figure it out, and then like I appealed it, and they said this contains child nudity, and I'm like, well, you got to be kidding me! What in the hell are you talking about? And I didn't even think of it because it's so part of our culture. But I had used the cover of Nirvana's Nevermind. It appeared in the video. I was like, all right, you know what? You're actually right. I guess that is technically, a little boy dong, and that boy as a grown-up is not thrilled with that being a ubiquitous image. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'll take this video down. You got me on that one.
You got me, TikTok. You got me. No, dude, it's so frustrating because I had like so many hits against my account, and I was just like, I'm about to lose my account, and I had just hit 20K. Right. And I'm just like, I'm doing okay. And you get into the creators club or whatever it's called. They pay you that horrible amount of money.
$1.
Yeah, for hours of like sweating and putting your time into it. But it was I was freaking out about it. And of course I've been kicked off for a week or whatever, but then I appealed because they were taking down my videos and then they were putting them. I would appeal it and they would put them back up, and then they would, but they would still be on my strikes against me. So right. I'm just like, yo, why am I almost about to be I'm about to strike out here, and all these have been, reinstated, but you're sitting here. Moving Dutchman, 199 subs. How dare you? You son of a gun. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, my friend. We'll get you some more love here. Our guest has to go soon, so I want to get as much out of him as I can. So we'll get you, buddy. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
No, it's so frustrating. It's just there's no clear guidance. There's like no transparency. Like you never know why something is taken down or what's happening with it. It's very frustrating.
Absolutely, it's crazy. It's crazy. With the people coming, how much time do you got, buddy? Like, I don't want to keep you.
A few more minutes. Yeah, no problem. I can do maybe 15 more minutes.
Okay, cool. One more dollar holler. I appreciate you, bud. I appreciate. Oh, you're talking to Chris. Okay, I'm okay. You guys talk amongst yourself. The, the people coming after you thing is like so. It's crazy, man. Like you were saying, you might get something wrong. They're fact checking you, have you ever? Has anybody ever called you like racist or anything for covering black music or African American music? Have you ever had anybody come at you like that?
Yeah, you know what's interesting is not really. Early on, I did this video about this woman, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, who's one of like the first like pioneers of rock and roll. And she was a gospel singer, but she played an electric guitar. And like if you hear her playing, it's like this lady's shredding like Chuck Berry. She was a big influence on Chuck Berry. So she's like one of the early figures of rock and roll. And she's also bisexual and like just has this really fascinating story. And I think stuff like that is important. I'm mostly a rock and roll historian. I'm talking about rock and roll history. Like the roots of rock and roll are like come from Black people, and it's important for me to cover. And so I did have like only like 2 people out of like thousands of comments, so it wasn't like a lot, but I still consider everybody's point of view. And a couple of people did say like, this is not your history to be telling. You shouldn't be saying this.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So like I really did think about it, and but I just thought like, okay, what are the alternatives? The alternative is that I don't talk about any Black artists on my channel, and then I only have a channel where I talk about white people, and then I'm just like not interested in that. I mean, there's so many of my favorite artists that are people of color. I don't want to do a channel that's all white people. Like that was a very conscious choice early on. Was if I did a video about like a 70s rock band, that got really popular, I'd be like, all right, let me make sure I talk about a rapper in my next video, because I don't want just like, nothing but a certain demographic of people watching my videos. So I do kind of go wildly back and forth between genres. But the thing I think about, I think you just have to be careful, in discussing this. But I think for the most part, there hasn't been a lot of negative feedback. I think because people recognize like I have a genuine love and appreciation for rock and roll history and for the pioneers like Little Richard and Chuck Berry and Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Big Mama Thornton. Like, so they know it's coming from a good place. And also like I never knew what to call myself at first, because I'm not a professional critic. I'm not a historian. And somebody said, you're like a music celebrator, and I always liked that one, so I have that in my bio. So I think as long as I'm celebrating. There's a lot of people who, more successful than me that make a living of, critiquing and sometimes tearing down the art of people of color. And my channel is just not that. Like, I'm an uplifter of like every artist that I cover and just celebrate music in all its diversity. So for the most part, there's not been pushback on that. Yeah. No, usually if there's negativity, sometimes there's negativity about me personally, and like you're too monotone, or you're ugly, but there are people that like want to fact check me, and they're just never right. Like in my most recent video, I did this video about Devo, and like a couple people, and people are so confidently wrong, they don't double check, and they'll come in and like. It really drives me crazy. Like, I'm not good at dealing with negative comments, so it really bothers me. So that's why I do so much research, is to make sure that I'm right. But so in this most recent one, like a lot of people tried to correct me about the pronunciation of Devo's record label, which was called Boogie Boy, but it's spelled Booji. This is like real minor, but there's a reason that it's spelled weird, but it's pronounced Boogie. That has to do with like when they were doing the lettering for this video that they were doing, and not important, but the amount of people that came out and like, you pronounce this word wrong, without even like double checking it themselves is insane to me. Yeah. The best I ever saw, like, because I know all creators deal with this, the best example I ever saw was this other creator. It was this woman, I can't remember, but she was talking about like movie musicals, and she was talking about the difference between musicals that were made where the music was written specifically for the musical versus musicals that took music and made a musical around it. And she mentioned like Singing in the Rain as an example of a movie that was made from songs that already existed. And some guy in her comments, and I'm sorry, it's always a guy, it's always a man, usually of a certain age, but it's always a man. Some guy in her comments was like, no, Singing in the Rain was all original music. Just so confident, so wrong. But like that one always stood out to me because not only is he wrong, it's like he's never even seen the movie. The whole movie only exists because the songs were old. Like the movie exists because this movie studio got a bunch of old songs and they gave it to these screenwriters and were like, can you make a movie musical with these old songs? And they're like, what? These are like songs from like 30 years ago. What the hell are we going to do with this? So they came up with this idea, oh, what if we made a movie that was set in this time period that was like about the transition from talkies or from silent films to talkies, because that's the period that all these songs are from. So that's the whole movie is about. So the whole movie exists because it's about old songs. And this guy is just in the comments being like, no, I'm pretty sure it was all original song.
You suck. I hate you. You're the worst.
And it's just the confidence with which people are wrong just always blows my mind when it's like a quick Google search away. And I don't know. And then they never come back. And like, so I had a guy recently, I think on that Devo video too, where I was like, all right, I'll give you sources. And I cited like 3 different links, quotes from the sources about like why he was wrong. And then I never heard back from him again. Like they never come back and be like, oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was wrong. Never.
Well, that's not really the intention to be right. I think it's just the intention to get under your skin, right? They're just trying to get a reaction. And
maybe
to me,
that's what they do. It's working.
I feel you, man. No, I just do you know who Kevin Gates is? He's a rapper.
Yeah.
So and he's known for saying some wild stuff. And by the way, Serial Killer, thank you for that follow, buddy. He's known for saying some wild shit, right? And he once said that he recharged his car battery with his bare hands. And so he's on this podcast where he's talking about how he went on a dry fast for about a month. And a dry fast is no food, no water. And I'm sitting there like, wait a second. Wait, I thought it was like 3 to 4 days you can't live without water. And so I Googled that shit. And I'm just like, yeah, it's okay. All right, sweet. So I make a whole video. It's like, why do people even talk to this dude anymore? Because he's just constantly lying, and it's hilarious. And I actually like Kevin Gates as a rapper. I love that he just makes shit up. Like, and Ray J's the same way. Like, he just makes shit up. He doesn't even care. He doesn't even care he's on the internet, and everybody can fact check his ass. Don't even care. So I love that. I love characters like that. It's just it tickles my pickle. So I do a video on it where I'm sort of just clowning on them, and they came for me so. And this was just recent, and like you're saying, like bad comments, like all these comments could be good or it could be a discussion, but then you hit this bad comment where it's just like and it like hit me right in my heart because he was like, one dude was like, he was like, I can't believe you're saying this during Black History Month. You don't know. and then somebody else said like, what, did your white doctor tell you that? And I'm just like, it had nothing to do with race. It just happened to be that this dude is black but says wild shit. And like that was the whole thing. I wasn't like this black asshole. You know, it wasn't anything like that. It was just it was wild. So it bothers me, and it still does. It still bothers me, like because it's that feeling, right? Like it hits you in your chest, and it just sinks, and you're just like, oh, like what did I do?
I mean, you also just like you never know. I mean, usually the negative comments I get, it's like I never would have anticipated this. Like I never in a million years would have thought that this was like what people would harp on from this video. But it comes up a lot. Like you'll start to see like repeating comments all the time. Like on whatever video, there's always like one thing that people will bring up all the time, and I was like, I never would have thought that this would be the thing that people would mention, but
here we are fucking ruining our day. And like the worst part about this whole situation is that like my wife is black, so like I asked my wife, I was like, is it true that black people can not drink any water or food for more than 3 weeks. Like, I'm just said, like, I reached out to a black friend. Like, I just felt like such a fool because, like, I'm looking because someone says, like, you don't know what you're talking about. This is not your place to talk about all the things, right? And I'm just like, oh my God, did I? And like, I was ready to delete the video because, like, I'm not trying to do all that shit. And I'm Googling it, and like, my Google search probably looks like I'm a racist jerk or whatever, but I'm just like, black people. It was really sensitive to me. And then I was like, no, no, I'm right.
Human biology.
Yeah, exactly. It's biology, and the fact that people just don't even understand that, it's like, that's not my fault. That's not my problem. It's like they were getting it's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I mean, sometimes you got to just use the block button. Sometimes.
Yeah. How do you go ahead, please?
I was gonna ask, does your wife read your comments?
No, my wife hates TikTok. She's like, I'm not doing that. Yeah, she don't.
No, my wife will read my comments and be like, "Hey, you were like kind of a jerk to this person." I'm like, "Yeah, but they suck." And she's like, "Well, just block them and move on."
Yeah, exactly. No, and like, I try really well, because what's weird is that I've been hit with a guideline strike because of my comments. Like, somebody was in the comments, and like, I didn't know that you had to moderate your comments, because some videos, if they do really well, there's thousands of comments, and how are you supposed to filter through it? Like, I don't answer every comment. I don't have time for that. Right. It's like, so like, so somebody said something in there, and they were talking about white, because you can't say white people or something on there. And that got me a guideline. So I was gonna ask you, like, do you moderate any of your comments? I mean, your videos do really well, so like, you have.
I do, yeah. I mean, I'm probably kind of insane. Like, it does drive my wife crazy, like how much I'm reading my comments. But like, I do want, like, even the comment section of my videos to be like positive. And for the most part, I feel like TikTok's a pretty positive community. But like, I don't know, sometimes like debates will get going and people will get nasty with each other. And sometimes I think, like, well, it's not my business. Like, they can go back and forth. But then I think, who needs this in the world? Like, I have the power to delete it. So
yeah.
One time I told somebody, like, I don't know, they were doing something stupid, and I was like, get off my page, or like something like that. And he was like, well, who made you the god of TikTok? And I was like, oh wait, I am the god of this page. Like, TikTok made me. Like, I can block you anytime I want. So I did block him. But no, so I do go through and like moderate, and anything that's like, racist or homophobic or anything is out. And I don't know, I'm kind of like fanatic about it. Like, I'll go to their profile and look, like, especially like, so if they're not following me, they're already out. I was like, you're not even a fan, get out of here. But then like, if they're following me, then I'm like, oh man, all right, now I got to look deeper and see, like, are you cool or are you a horrible person? And that sucks. I'm like, what have I done wrong to make you follow me? And then like, you're a literal Nazi. So, no, I go through and block those people for sure.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, because sometimes, like, some of the news stories I do are kind of controversial. Like Roger Waters right now with his with his interesting views on all of what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, about Israel and stuff like that. Talking about that stuff, it brings out like the best and worst. It's like, yeah, because the Jews are dead. It's like, hey, whoa. Let's just talk about this rationally and not be wild. So yeah, I find it important because it's same reason. I want it to be a place where you can have open discussion, but I don't think it should be at the expense of somebody else's, day, like it. And of course, opinions are always going to hurt someone's feelings somewhere. So like that, to me, I'm just like, ugh, I whatever. But if it's like blatantly like, like they're just in the comments just saying horrible things, it's like, you gotta go. You gotta go. And then I do the same thing where I'll go look at their page. They have like 0 followers, and they have some stupid picture of them. And it's like, why did you even put your picture on? An idiot! Like, you're gonna go around saying this stuff. Yeah, it's wild, man. It's a wild.
Pretty fanatic. I do, like, I can't respond to every comment like you said, but I do read them all. So like, I make sure like I'm at least reading, and So it is kind of crazy if you have a video that goes like viral and then you wake up and there's like hundreds of comments to go through. But
But they are fun though. They are fun. Even when they're talking shit about me, I just like I don't think I could have handled this as a young man, but I think as an older guy with a little bit of experience in my life, and it's hilarious. It's like your fucking double chin is gross. That's just like it is. I hate it.
No, yeah, I got this weird comments about my appearance. It's like, what are we trying to bang? Like, what do you care? Yeah. Like, you want to hear about music history or not? Yeah. But yeah, I guess some people will be like, you're bald. I'm like, yeah, I've been bald since I was like 22. I'm not offended at all by you calling me bald.
Yeah, I heard it all, bro. I've heard it all. You're the last that I give a shit about. Patrick, man, I had a blast talking about you.
Yeah, you too, man.
I really look forward to the stuff you got coming forward. And again, everybody, make sure you go into the chat here and click on the links. Go and follow Patrick on TikTok. Go and check out his podcast. It's called Good Measure with Patrick Hicks. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you've had this problem, but Twitch wouldn't let me put your last name into the title of my video. It just
so weird.
It wouldn't let me put Hicks in because I guess Hick, but it's just like
like it's a slur. A slur again. Southern American.
Yeah.
That's fun. No, I haven't been on Twitch before, so I don't know.
Twitch is a weird place too, man. It's a weird place, but it's fun. I love Twitch. I love the community here, and I like your lives too, man. Your TikTok lives are cool too, man. So everybody,
I know I gotta do more. Yeah, I gotta do more for sure.
But yeah, no Hick. Yeah, exactly. All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time, and if you ever want to come back on for any reason, I have an open invitation, and I wish you the best, and you're awesome, man. I love what you do. So.
Thanks so much, man.
No worries. Everybody, come on, give a round of applause to Patrick Hicks, everybody. Let's go. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Hey, what's up? Let's go. Yeah. So, anyways. That was Patrick. Everybody, make sure you go give him some love and cradle his balls and all that stuff. Chris Cox, thank you for being here, my friend. I appreciate you. Chris, I gotta get you on the podcast. I don't know. I'm putting you on the spot, but if you ever want to come on, we'll talk. I'd love to have you on. I love your hangouts and when you're watching the cartoons.